And over the seasons, we've really gotten great at that handshake, the practical digital handshake. And if we can run the skitter clip, we can show some of that in action here. So here's some great behind the scenes breakdowns from Zoic. So you can kind of see all the various layers that go into adding the full motion skitters. Now there's a distinction between the ones that have full motion and maybe some of the closer ones. You'll see these are full CG, again designed by Zoic, and graded by Zoic. Great animation work from, I believe this is season 2. Oh, this is the pilot right here, pardon me. So you can really see how the pilot came to life in that exciting sequence. Again, having these practical elements on set, actual physical effects busting apart really helps tie it together. But this was just at the beginning of where we really started playing with mixing the mediums. Here it is just, literally the physical effects guy on set blowing up bottles and integrating that into the final shot. Later on, we really got more into combining puppets with CG directly. And again, the handshake that we have with Zoic on this show and many others has been really fantastic. They've been really great about working with us crazy artists, trying to figure out how to do all this stuff on a TV schedule. And oftentimes it's part of CG and part of this guy. This is a full-size practical suit with these puppeted legs you can see there. That's Keith, who actually is one of our monster makers and wears the suit. He's been pretty amazing all the way through the show, playing most of the skitters. So he's probably died like 20 times now. This is inside at our Vancouver shop, where we're making, this is way back in early season 1, making one of the first skitters, one of the full-size skitters. Each piece is hand-created, sculpted, molded, and then cast in various materials, foam latexes, silicones, really depending on what part it is. Keith there again, and very early mock-up, just we're trying to put it together to see if this crazy concept would work. His feet would break through the bottom of it. Oh, here he's got his finger extensions. Cool thing about Keith, he's also, as I mentioned, a monster maker and makes some of his own parts. Like here he made these linkages for the extended fingers on the skitter hand. And he could actually build them to his own specifications. Here's the mock-up. We're taking early pieces, even just holding the head to prove to the producers that this crazy idea might work. And you can see Keith's feet out of the bottom. Those would just be garbage matted out for certain shots. We also made the big spider legs interchangeable or detachable, I should say, so we can pull them off really quickly to say, for instance, if we wanted to have full motion digital legs. And that's the beginning of this crazy handshake that I was telling you about. Some of these clips coming up, well there you can see one of the legs off and you can see a tracking mark on there. A couple of these others you'll actually see it in action. We discovered early on that in certain cases it was better to have practical legs, in other cases it was better to have digital legs. It's really almost a shot-by-shot choice.
Here you can see that actually Keith is on a little kind of wheelie dolly.
Yeah,
he sits down on that thing. And
here you can see it actually get removed. See, here he is, that's him sitting, we remove that, and Zoe puts in critter legs.
And he's a rebel alien, right? He's fighting the main alien.
Keith has played many aliens, good, bad, and ugly.
In this particular clip, he's playing a rebel alien. So these are complete digital skitters. Usually for full shots, we'll end up doing, or especially if there's more than one, we'll do full digital. That's of course full digital. We just shot a plate and then they put the digital skitter in. With regard to shooting the plates, Matt at one point had asked me whether we do a bunch of previs, and they do a bunch of animatics, especially on features and this kind of thing. Usually we don't have time to do any of that, so we just have it all in our heads. And
I never understood what previs is. What is it before you visit?
Yeah, well,
you visit pre-shooting.
Wouldn't it just be viz?
Yeah, it is sort of like viz, but luckily we have a bunch of people, the director-producer Greg Beeman, who also did Smallville and Heroes with me, and then and Matt also did Smallville, is very good at pre-visualizing what's going on, and all of us are, so we can sit around and having our 4-hour visual effects meetings describing what the shots are, and most of us understand what that is. So we don't really have to go and do that. Oftentimes we end up shooting the plates a little bit bigger, like 20% bigger, so that there's room for them to actually put in a handheld feel, since most of the show is shot handheld. And that way they don't have to track the camera shake for very specific shots. Other times, we're just going handheld and telling them to go and deal with it.
Just deal with it.
So, but there are a lot of tracking marks and this kind of thing. And, you know, just to speak about, a little bit about how far, it's not that the technology has obviously gotten a lot better, but it mostly has to do with processing and speed and storage and all this kind of stuff. When I operated Roland Emmerich's version of Godzilla in 1997, and you know, the amount of work that we do sometimes in 6 hours is equivalent to what we would do in 2 or 3 days on Godzilla.
Yeah.
And it's just because, you know, everybody, you know, the algorithmic programs and everything are just so good now, and the speed of the computers are so good that, you know, it just makes it easier to do all this work.